until he landed that one punch against a short old man. So
Yeah, no, honestly, like one thing that I do like him is he gets the job done. But in his game, there's a lot of holes. Like as a professional boxer,
yeah, no,
there's a lot of holes.
I
He's
think he's just got to punch his chance.
no shit. It's like you lose a fight and it's land a big punch and it's weird. Like even in that Brazilian fight, you know what I mean? Brazil rocked in 2 minutes. He had nothing. But you know that's the sport is. Alright, yeah, we like.
Like, right. All right, this is the ISUP. All right, Shalom. This is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday low class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show Monday 2 a.m. UK time. There's also classes here Tuesday. No, there's also classes here Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. And there's also classes in the States as well, which is midnight our time. So you can check out the generals classes and the brotherhood classes, the lower class, and so forth. They also got those classes going on. So just subscribe to all the pages. Also, March 7th and 8th, Purim. We're going to be doing it here in the school. B18 5PW 394 Lodge Road. We're going to be doing it here. And also, we got a lot to talk about today, man. You got all the what? You got the coronavirus going around. It's reached Birmingham now. Do you know it's in Birmingham now? It's in Birmingham now. I'm sure they said there's 2 cases around Ladywood somewhere. So it's getting closer. And then also you got what? All these storms as well, man. Listen, all these things is taking place, man. All these things is taking place. You got storms. You got floods. A woman was swept away in the flood and drowned, man. There was a man that drowned in the flood. Like all these things come from the Lord, man. And like it says in the book of Revelations, like the Lord caused the third of the earth to fall, and guess what happened? Men still didn't repent. Same like now, man. People read that in Revelations and think, wow, when I see these signs, this should make anyone change. But you're seeing things that's happening right now, and you still ain't changing, man.
That's right.
You're seeing coronavirus. Listen, black people's been seeing cancer and all these things for years. I mean, you would have thought from as soon as they link cancer to smoking, you would have thought black people to stop smoking. Listen, man, that scripture in there in Revelations when it says they saw these things and repented not. This is talking about us, man. We see smoking kills. We don't repent, man. We see that being a criminal and a drug dealer and whatnot kills or gets lands you in jail. We still do it, man. Like we think on a basis that we can slip through the cracks. We we see that lip sipping lean is linked to seizures and dying and all next kind of things, and epilepsy and whatnot. But guess what? We still do it, man. Listen, someone died from sipping lean, and guess what? Guess what another brother said? That's because they were sipping cheap lean. He put it down to them sipping cheap lean. Listen, man, drugs is drugs, whether it's expensive or cheap, man. Drugs is drugs. He put it down to them sipping cheap lean. What is basically saying is, I'm exempt from them dying that kind of death because my lean is better than theirs. Which it sounds like to me, if your lean is better than theirs, it sounds like your lean has more doses of drugs in there to me. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're saying your lean is more pure, which is soon to give you an epileptic attack. But we're gonna go into a few scriptures, man, because all throughout the last few weeks, you've been seeing black people treated like garbage, rather in the media. Boris Johnson's been saying racist stuff about us. Who else? Craig Ramage, yeah, been saying racist stuff about us. All of them been saying racist stuff about black people, man. And the stuff that we've been saying for years, like now you see these Hamites like Stormy and Dave that stole our culture. They've stole our culture, and they're saying the things which is happening to us. Have you noticed? It ain't really happening to them; it's happening to us. But now, because everyone sees that they're dark in complexion, people automatically think that they're us. When really, now if they are racist towards them, they ain't had the struggle that we've had. Like you see all these songs that these Hamites is making, that Storms is making, and Dave's making. That song that Dave made called Black. Listen, man. Really, those is our songs, but he's just singing them. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's heavy because Africans in the UK don't have the same struggles
Right.
as we do. So, I mean, I've heard that sound, and when I hear it,
Mhm.
I can relate to it.
Mhm.
But Africans don't have that issue.
Exactly.
Africans have businesses, finances. They're not struggling
Exactly.
like the children of Israel.
Exactly right. In the song, he says, you have to work twice as hard than the people that you're better than. Listen, man, Africans don't have to work twice as hard, man. Only we have to work twice as hard.
That's right.
That's the term that your grandma's been using your whole life, man. You have to work twice as hard. In these songs that these Hamites are singing, they're singing about all. Listen, I hear some of them singing about their ancestors when in slavery. They ain't done the history, man. Listen, they've been bamboozled by our oppressor, man, making them think that us. Listen, and another thing, a real African that's born in Africa knows his history, knows that you and him ain't the same. But because these ones have been over here from those born, and they know that pretending to be Jamaican seems so cool. Like growing up, if you didn't have a Jamaican background, Africans used to lie and say that there was us, man. They used to lie and say, "Oh yeah, my dad's Jamaican, my this is Jamaican." Because back in the days, it was a shame to say that you was African, man. If you was African, it was a shame. And also growing up, especially in Birmingham, African parents knew not to let their kids mix with Jamaican kids. They knew that Africans couldn't play with the Jamaican kids because African parents seen it as Jamaican people got no upbringing, they're rude, they're disrespectful, and this is why today all these Africans who's running around in London, they're copying us, man. The whole dress code is copying us. Like when you look at all these African rappers, you see when you look at all these African rappers on top of the world now, like Dave, Stormzy, and all of these ones, and Sketch and whatnot. They owe all of this to Dizzy Rascal, to Wiley, and they owe it to Gigs as well, man. You see all these real rap British rappers. It started off with people from a Caribbean background that started UK rap, and at the time when they started UK rap, guess what everyone said? This is corny, man. This is fake American music. That's what. Listen, no word of a lie. You can look it up. Go back 10 years. Everyone said, "Oh, UK people are rapping now. It's corny. It sounds like fake American music." And then you had old school rappers back in the days, like is it Mike GLC? Yeah, Mike GLC. You know a few others. There was a ton of them.
It was Rodney P.
Rodney P. You had. Who else did you have? You had DVS. You had Judge of Souls. Remember them old school ones where they had all the neck videos. You had Crazy Titch. You had Dizzy Rascal. Like if you go back, you'll realize that there wasn't no African artists back then. And then now that rap's taking off, guess what happens? These Africans steal the culture and they're making all the money off it. Whereas the real UK artists that had Caribbean backgrounds is nowhere to be seen now. Now, Storms has got that big platform selling out Glastonbury, when really that should have been someone like Chipmunk.
That's right.
Because he's been doing it for years, man. Someone like Chipmunk should have that position. And now people's always like, why is Wiley mad at Stormzy? I see why Wiley's mad. Wiley's like the godfather of grime, and guess what? Now Storms is running with it. And it happens all the time. Listen to Afro beats. Listen to Afro beats, man. They're still the whole Jamaican sound. Like they got the same similar beats, and also that's African music in the Afro beats. But that's what they say. But there's still a lot of our stuff in there. So now, when you're listening to Afro beats, why do you hear Patois in there, man?
That's right.
Like, why do you hear that in there? Because they know it's cool to be Jamaican, whereas a Jamaican man don't put nothing African in his songs. Jamaicans don't put nothing African in his songs. Even now, East Indians and Edomites and everyone, like for instance, you see how black people talk where a black man will come and firms and say Wagwan. Even they say it now. Like, even they copy the lingo, man. Like they see what black people do and they copy, and we call each other our niggas. Even Asians say, yeah, here's my nigga. And about an Asian man's their nigga, when really a nigga, and you can only be a nigga if you're black, man. They just say it to relate to themselves, like it's because it's just cool to say, because what everybody copies us, man. And then you got people saying we need to be brought down a peg, and then you got everyone saying, oh, black people think they're this, black people think they're that. Just look at it, right? Look at it like this. At this present moment, we're a slave. So imagine how everyone copies us when we're a slave. Imagine when we're ruling the world, man. Just imagine, like who wants to copy a slave? These nations copy everything we say, everything we do, the way we put our hat to the back. Like you see this whole dress code stuff. People only wear it if black people wear it because black people wear it properly, man.
That's right.
Like nowhere the like you'll see these Gucci models modeling the t-shirts, and then as soon as a black man throws in that t-shirt, you look at that t-shirt like, yo, I have to get that. You know why? Because they know once we rock something, the whole world wants it. But that's the end of my rant. Give me a Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. So we got a few things to go into today. We're going to talk about what's her name, Caroline Fleck. Caroline Fleck from Love Island. We need to talk about her as well, man, because she's getting all of this love, whereas black people don't get no love. When black people die, you bring up their criminal history. Well, Caroline Fleck she beat up her boyfriend, right? She beat up her boyfriend, and nobody don't bring that up. But when black people die, people bring it up in their death. Like you thought, when people die, you're just gonna not say nothing bad about them. You just thought, if you got nothing nice to say, leave it. That's what people usually say. Listen, when black people die, they bring up all the bad that you've done. They're bringing up what's his name? Is it Rick James? They're bringing up a rape case about like 30 years ago. Do you hear about it? He's been dead for years, man. And now they're saying he raped someone 30 years ago, and they're bringing that up now. Really? Most of these people nowadays don't even know who Rick James is. Most of these people don't even know who he is, man. But go ahead.
Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
So we're destroyed for a lack of knowledge, man. What knowledge do we lack? We lack the knowledge of who we are, man. We lack the knowledge of what God requires us to be. We lack the knowledge of our nationality and how great God made us. We lack that knowledge, man. And because we lack that knowledge, this is why we treat one another how we treat each other. If we had the knowledge of how in high regards God holds us, we would hold our brother in that high regard also, man. We would treat him good also. But obviously we've been taught the knowledge from our oppressor that we're just some slaves, we're nothing. If we die, it don't matter. Black people die every day. You've heard that term, innit? Niggas die every day. There's that term like niggas die every day. Like all these things, they apply to us, man. When God didn't intend for us to be like that, but because we lack the knowledge, that's why we live in this way, man. We're under our oppressor's foot, man. He's got his foot on our neck, mistreating us, and we still give him all our love when we ain't supposed to. Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
So now, through these classes, we're giving you back this knowledge, man. Camp, we're giving you back this knowledge. When we're giving you flyers, we're giving you back this knowledge. But what happens? Most people reject it, man. Most people don't want to hear it. Everybody wants to hear what? Their favorite rap song, and rather go to Dexter Daps at Zara's and whatnot. Even though you can go, there's nothing wrong with going there. Do you hear about it? Apparently, there was a ton of fights there, and he refused to come on this. Oh, did you hear about it? He sold the tickets for £20, and he was only on the stage for like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So yeah, so everyone thought it was a concert, but it weren't. The announcers put him on the flyer, and they put concert on there to sell the tickets. And when he came, he was only on there for 5 minutes. So it was more like a club where it was just performed for 5 minutes. So people thought they was getting a full concert, and obviously, to be fair, they should have knew better. How are you getting a full concert in Zara's when it's so small, man? You only get those things where it's at the O2 and Arena. If it's not there, you know it's not a concert. But go ahead.
I will also reject thee.
So now, because we reject the knowledge of God, God rejects us, man. Guess what happens? We end up dying in some horrible ways, man. End up in jail, end up in some horrible situations. And then the first thing we want to do is, once we hit hard times, like you'll be rolling around with a sack of drugs, not giving a damn about God. As soon as that police siren comes behind you, you start praying in that seat, man. Start saying, oh, please, God, please don't let them find the drugs, and I'll never sell drugs again. That's what you start saying, man. That's what you start saying. Now, if God does not let them find the drugs, guess what? You're going to continue selling drugs tomorrow, man. Like, black people have this thing where they beg God at the time, and then when they're in a good way, everything's forgotten on their behalf. They go back to doing what they prayed and said they wouldn't do, man. Like, you're begging God for something, and if God decides, all right, cool, you ain't supposed to, just go back on your word, man. or the next time the police do pull up behind you, the Lord's going to make them find everything that's in the car, man. And it's wrong for you to be a drug dealer, man. You know what? Really, yeah, that's just all. That's just all through social media. Like, when you look at that, back in the days when people used to sell drugs, they used to be ashamed of it. You know, people used to be ashamed of it. They used to be ashamed of it. They used to hide it from their parents, their grandparents. Nowadays, now you sell drugs and you rap about it because I'm a trapper, and now people that work full-time jobs be lying to women saying that they're the drug dealers now because now it sounds cool. This kingdom makes it seem like it sounds cool. So men be lying to women saying, yeah, I'm a drug dealer these times. Listen, you're working a 9 to 5, man. And you telling her you're a drug dealer, you're doing yourself a disservice. You know why? Because she's just going to expect you to take her to expensive restaurants that really you can't afford. Really, your 9-5 don't cover the bill, man. So then you put yourself in a position where you trying to keep her, you're going to force yourself to end up selling drugs. Then you end up going to jail and she finds another man. But read on.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
And listen, man, the Lord said, if we rejected him and his knowledge, he's going to reject us, that we shall be no priest to him. We're meant to be priests of God. But what are the people that are meant to be priests of God doing? Out there drug dealing, out there selling drugs. The daughters of God, the princesses of God are doing what? Out there selling their body, swinging from a pole. Listen, it's clear that we've been rejected from God for the way that we're living, man. But guess what? God's calling us back, man. And God's kept priests in the earth, man, in the I.S.U.P.K, to instruct you and bring you back. Now, people think that God's going to talk out of the sky and they're going to hear him and look. Like, this is what people want. People think God's going to talk to them out of the sky and they're going to hear him and change. Listen, man, God uses his prophets as his mouthpiece. You not hearing us is you not hearing God, man. What we say to you is not us saying it to you, it's God speaking to you, man. God uses his prophets as a vessel. They're his mouthpiece, man. Like, people think that, like, the signs that people want from God is they want to see God come out the sky and say, okay, I'm God. Like that's what black people are waiting to see. And listen, man, that's not going to happen, man. You come to class, read these scriptures, man. Read these scriptures. I mean, we're telling you all the prophecies from the Bible. We ain't prophesied no lies to you. Everything we're telling you comes from the Bible. I mean, if what we say is true, you should believe it, man. We ain't telling you worship us. We tell you come in here, man, and worship God, man. Come and serve God. And serve our King Yahushua, man. You can drop that. Give me Deuteronomy 7:7. Like, in this life, all these other nations teach us that, like this is what you would think. The way how black people's life is, if you don't know any better, black people would think that God hates black people if you didn't know any better. Because this is what black people think. Oh, why we the ones that went in slavery? Why we the ones that's at the bottom? Listen, man, we have all the answers to that. The reason is because what? God loves us and we disobeyed him, man. But these other nations put a spin on it and say what? Being black is cursed. Is that say being black is cursed? In the Mormons say, oh, black skin's a curse. So they make you think that you've been cursed by God and God hates black people, and that's a lie, man. God loves black people so much that he gets upset when we do wrong, man. Meaning what? You see, like how you get upset when your kids do wrong because you love them and you don't want them to do wrong. God's the same, man. You don't get upset when your neighbor's kids do wrong. You know why? Because they're not your problem, man. You see these Arabs, they're not God's problem. These Chinese people with coronavirus, they're not God's problem, man. Black and Hispanics are God's problem. And this is why God deals with us the way he does, man. We do wrong, God will discipline us, man. We do good, God would reward us. But we've been doing wrong our whole life. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 7 and 7. The Lord did not set his love upon you.
Listen, man. The Lord loves Israel, man. The Lord said he did not set his love upon you. Go ahead.
Nor choose you because you were more in number.
Listen, God didn't choose us because we was more in number, man. God didn't love us and choose us because we was more in number. Go ahead.
Than any even for ye were the fewest of all.
And listen, man, we're the fewest of all people, and we're also the youngest nation. And that makes sense that we're the fewest of all people, Because when you look at the statistics for Britain, we like what? When you look at all the races, we like one of the fewest of people here. But when you look at the statistics for crime, we the highest, and with the fewest here, like, which lets you know we're doing something wrong. But this right here says we was the fewest of all people, and wherever black people go, we like what? The minority, man. Look at your slavery. You're the minority, man. You're the minority. Even on your slavery, you're the minority. At your university, you're the minority. At your school, you're the minority. Everywhere black people go, we're the minority, man. Which is letting you know, man, the Lord said we was the fewest people. And you see that today, we're the fewest people right now. And even though we're the fewest people, and our oppressor's been trying to wipe us out with homosexuality and with the murder rate and by sending us to jail and all these things, with the fewest member of people, but guess what? The Lord makes sure that we're still here, man.
That's right.
Now, if it wasn't for God, we would be wiped out a long time ago. Like, these nations oppress us, and guess what happens? We're still here. Pull me there in Exodus. You know what is in Exodus? Though they oppress them, the people still.
Exodus 1 and 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied.
And listen, man, these nations afflict us. They afflict us with everything, man. They're trying to eradicate us and get rid of us. Do you know how long they've been trying to get rid of us for? All these little schemes that they do is to try and get rid of us, man. Every last one. Everything they do is to try and get rid of us. They put drugs in the community because they know what? Black people are on their face and they need money, so they know what? We're vulnerable and we're going to go and sell them. They give us all these movies. Give us all these movies, make us hate one another, teach us to kill one another, so we go to jail, man. Our fathers is already in jail. We're dying at an alarming rate. Can't get a job. They afflict us, man. And even though through all this affliction, us black people are still here today. We're still here today, man. Which lets you know black people is special. Let me tell you how special black people are, man. Black people go through the horriblest things on the face of the earth. And we deal with it. Whereas what? Our oppressors lose their job and commit suicide, man. Listen, I'm going to go into that with Caroline Flack a little later on, but our oppressors lose their job and commit suicide. Whereas with black people, we've been enslaved. We've been looked down upon. Can't get no jobs. Looked on as nothing. Looked on as nothing at all. And then guess what happens? Us black people is still here today, man. Black people, and listen, us black people is still here today with our little saying, yo, we have to keep up the fight. Like, black people is so mentally strong, whereas these other nations break, man. These nations break. We hands down the strongest people on the face of the earth, man. Like, no other nation could go through what we're going through. Also, another thing, man, when our oppressors came to the Caribbean to try and kill the Maroons and whatnot, they couldn't hack it, man. They was dying because they couldn't handle the heat, man. Whereas us black people, you see, everywhere we go, we adapt to it, man. We adapt to it, and that's how strong we are, man. But read that. You got anything online, or is it?
Yeah. Just question me. It's easy. Right, it goes, how come you lot support SAP 1? His demonic talks about selling drugs. Do you lot have him on the beginning of your videos?
So read it again. What did you say?
How come you lot support SAP 1? He talks about selling drugs, robs, security vans. You guys have him on the beginning of most of your videos.
The reason, all right, let me tell you why. Now, in here, we're very smart and strategic. So now we know all our brothers out there listen to him and like that kind of thing. So if they see him on the intro, it might them give it a listen. They're gonna give it a listen, and then they're gonna log into the classes. And also, another thing, most of our people out there are evil. Once upon a time, we was evil. Now he's got a following. So by you putting someone on your videos who people look at as a celebrity, you could say it's a clickbait. You could say it's a clickbait, but also that's why. Now, do we agree with what he does? No. But at the end of the day, he's a black man with a following, and half the people that follow him, if they could log into classes, they could change their life. I mean, we're out there for people like him. It's people like him why we're out there. Brothers like him that what do you say? Rob transit vans. Brothers like him that sell drugs and rob transit vans. That's who Christ came to. Christ sat down with sinners and publicans and whatnot. And why did he do that? Because what? His whole mission was to convert them, man. Our mission is the same thing. I mean, we've gave Saffron flyers, man. We've gave all these brothers flyers. It's our job to fix them. No black man's criminal history is too big for the I.S.U.P.K. We go to all the criminals of our nation, man. Sit down with them and fix them and change them and whatnot. Because if we don't speak to them, who is? The Christian church ain't doing it.
That's right.
The mosque ain't doing it. And we the prophets of God, so that's why we do it. So that's the reason why we have him on our videos. We ain't glorifying what he's doing. Go ahead.
Romans 11 and 14. If I, by any means, I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, that I might save some of them.
That might what?
That I might save some of them.
So Paul said he has to provoke those that are his flesh, that he might save some of them. Paul was in the business of saving his people. We also in the business of saving our people. We have to do what? We put him at the start of our videos because we know what? People's going to click it, man. They see his face. They're going to click it. They're going to be like, oh, what's he doing there? They're going to see that he done the intro, and then they'll watch some of the videos, the classes, and put it like this. You ain't going to know how to change your life if no one showed you. So by people clicking on these videos and their eyes being open to, oh, with the Israelites, maybe I should change my life. Maybe my life's going blah, 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 blah. But if they don't ever know that, they ain't going to change their life. They're just going to be in 2020 still thinking that their nationality is Caribbean, still thinking that their nationality is Black, British. So we put him on there because we know he's got a big following, about what? 80K followers. He's got about 80K followers, man. Whereas with the truth, not many people's interested in the truth. So by us putting him on there, it gets people to watch the videos. So that's why we have him on there. You want to add something?
Well, yeah, like it's like anything in life. Like if you want people to watch or recognize something, you use your mean. You use around like it's like many adverts. They don't agree with what to do, but they know I'm trying to promote this, so I would use this. Like it's just normal, like everyday life.
So yeah, Robert. That's why Robert Lee. That's why we That's why that's why I have him at the start of the videos, just for that reason also. So yeah. So sometimes, who knows, you might see Mist at the start of the video. You might see some other UK artists. So that's what it is. So yeah, because I've still got a big following. But take me back to, did we finish up in Exodus or was there some more?
12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
The more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And black people are being afflicted out here. And listen, the same way we was afflicted in Egypt is the same way we're being afflicted right now in England. Ain't nothing changed, man. And listen, black people, we're so strong that black people be like, you know what, we're going through hell right now, but it's not going to last forever. What does our oppressor go and do? Go and takes paracetamols, mixes it with alcohol, and commit suicide, man, of something small. Whereas they could never go through what we've been through, man, which is letting you know, black man, that you're better than everybody else, man. Go ahead.
Now, one example of that, it happened in the UK as well. It was around this area, Birmingham. One white guy that was rich had a house, horses, cars, but of course he was spending beyond his means. So what he done was he got a gun, he shot all the animals he had, he killed his kid's wife and burned the house with him in it. And if he was going bankrupt, all he had to do was just downgrade.
Exactly.
He had a normal house.
Get rid of the other horses.
He didn't want to even do that, and basically took out everything.
See, and this is the thing, man. Our oppressors, they don't have no spirit, man. Whereas black people, we like black people, whether what you believe, if it's right or wrong, or black people kind of like, when you look at most black people, they believe in something. Our oppressors believe in this YOLO, you only live once nonsense. Our oppressors believe in just run up a check and die and kill yourself and your kids. Whereas us black people, we like, whether we believe in the right God or not, we hold on to some form of belief. Like most black, it's rare that you'll find a black person that tells you they're atheist. Now, even a drug dealer will tell you he believes in God. Whereas our oppressor will say, "Oh, I don't believe in God. I don't believe that's true." Like there's something in black people that they have a belief system. They believe in something, man. Even back in the days, I can't remember what it was called, but back in the days, everyone believed in something. Everyone believed in something, man. Oh, this atheist stuff is all new. It's all new. It's the last couple 100 years. But black people hold on to some form of belief, whether it be right or wrong, man. Go ahead. Like your grandma holds onto that white Jesus. She holds onto that white Jesus tightly, man. Because why? She's been lied to in slavery. She's been tricked. She's been taught that that's God. And I mean, black people are gonna hate black people if you believe in if you're teaching them that their savior is some oppressor, man. If you're teaching them that their savior is the same person harming them.
That's right.
You see, because of that Caesar Borgia, that white Jesus. That's the reason why black people don't love one another, man. Because that picture comes in between our love, man. You see that Caesar Borgia, that comes in between black people. That cuts off the connection between black people to black people, man. That image right there. Say you got a black person there, that Caesar Borgia in the middle cuts off your connection, man. You're giving all your love to him and people that look like him. So guess what happens? You teach your daughter, honor this man, honor this man, honor this man. And then guess what happens? Your daughter ends up marrying a man that looks like that, man.
That's right.
Your daughter ends up marrying a man that looks like that. And then you speak to these kids, their favorite wrestlers, who Hulk Hogan, who hates black people, man. Listen, my favorite wrestler is probably Booker T. You know, you see Booker T. But listen, Booker T was athletic. He had the persona. He could do the spinneroonie. He was a 5-time champion. Listen, man, Booker T had it all going on. But because he was black, they kind of held him back a bit. Have you noticed? Because when you look at it, honestly, people say, like Hulk Hogan, he had no wrestling moves, man. All he would do was throw you into the rope, the big boot, the leg drop, and just that little drop. I think he had 3 moves. Then all he would do is just hold you, do the punch. That's all Hulk Hogan had, man. Whereas Booker T had that nice little spin kick, man. He had the bookend, which looked like the rock bottom. What was that scissor kick he used to do?
Or the Harlem stuff.
The Harlem, what is it called?
The Harlem Heat.
The Harlem Heat or whatever it was called. Listen, man, Booker T had it all going on. But because he's black, obviously they're not going to give him that push. In those places, they ain't going to make a dark-skinned man a champion for too long. Because when you look at it, all these black men was athletic, man. I mean, Kofi Kingston, you remember Kofi Kingston, that could do all the flicks and the back flicks. He could do all of that, but they would never give him that push. Instead of making him a heavyweight champion, dude, I'd rather make Edge the champion. Listen, I used to watch WWE, dude, I'd rather make Edge the champion. Honestly, the only Israelite that made it so kind of far in professional wrestling was The Rock. And that's only because what? His mom was Samoan and whatnot, so they have to kind of water it down a bit, but they ain't going to make some dark-skinned man become the WWE champion and whatnot. Has there been any long-term black champions? I'm trying to think who did they give a good push to. Like, for instance, to give people like Brock Lesnar, man, all of this push. But Booker T, listen, man, they didn't want to give him that push. At one stage, they had Booker T playing some, not a gay role, but he's in the boss. Yeah, he was playing that. Remember, he was in the bed with Gold Dust. Had him playing all of those weird roles and whatnot. And it's just how it goes, man. Our oppressor controls what we do, so they don't want us to. You see, when it comes to entertainment stuff, they don't want you to be right at the top because they don't want you to be the greatest of all time. Like, they don't allow you to be the greatest of all time. The only way you can be the greatest of all time if it's like proper sports, like Usain Bolt. What is he, the greatest sprinter of all time?
That's right.
And then before it was Usain Bolt, it was another black man. Who was it before him? Was it I.S.U.P.K? Yeah, and then before with I.S.U.P.K, though, every time he's losing the race, he pretends to hurt his leg. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
like the last 30 yards when he knows he's not going to come first, he does that limp, and he knows he's not getting a medal. Who was it before him? It was another black man before him.
He was
Linford Christie. Before that, you had
American black man.
you had Gatlin. They demonized him because he failed the drug test, so they demonized him. Then before that, you had who was it? Tyson Gay. You had Listen, and when you look at it, all these people we're naming is Israelites, man. Is Israelites. Now you can't tell me black people ain't gifted and talented. Everything we do, it shows we're gifted. It shows we're talented, man. Because can't nobody I mean, boxing. Every time you look at athlete of the decade, it's always a black man, man. This year it's LeBron James, man. One of the times it was Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather said this year, Floyd Mayweather said it should have been him again. even though he's retired, but Floyd Mayweather said it should be him again. So now, what was I going to say? It shows you how talented we are, man. Whether it's sports, whether it's football, and so forth. Listen, man, when it comes to football, look at R9, man. I'm on about the Brazilian Ronaldo, man. Listen, an injury-free Brazilian Ronaldo, one of the greatest players you will ever see, man. One of the greatest players you will ever see. Just look at what he used to do before he got all them injuries, man. And listen, God made us special. If you don't believe that we're special, I don't know what to say to you. Just turn on the sports and anything, and you will see that everybody copies us. Even down to the foods that we cook. All these nations come to our food shops. Tell me, listen, if black people eat Indian food, it's what, once a year? Once a year, if that. Now, you go to a Caribbean food shop, everybody's there, man. Now, these Africans eat Caribbean food. Do we eat their food? Never, man. And the thing is this, everybody says how nice Caribbean food smells. But you see, African food, everyone says, it smells horrible. There's some hammer at my workplace, man. When she uses the microwave, nobody wants to use the microwave after her. Once I'm there with my Caribbean food, even the Edomites come in the office saying, that smells lovely. Like, I think they're almost asking for some, man. They're like, that smells lovely and whatnot. But read on when you get a chance.
Yeah. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
And listen, man, everybody's grieved at the children of Israel, man. People are angry at you, man. People are angry at you, man. You know why? Because they see the greatness that you don't see. You know why they're so angry at you? Because they wish that they could be you, man. All these nations wish that they could be you. Don't you see they try and behave like you? Try and speak like you. Try and get the same haircuts. They want to be you, man. Because they know how great you are. They see in you that you don't see. They see something in you that you don't see in yourself. Like what black men don't see in themselves. These other nations see it, man. They see how great. They see how high you can jump. They see how fast you can run. Like, honestly, black men are so great at stuff, it makes it almost unfair for everybody else, man. It almost makes it like, listen, they do studies, man. They do studies to see how come black people can run so fast? How come black people can jump so high? How come black people can do this and do that? How come black people get the best physiques? Even if you look at bodybuilding, the best bodybuilder of all time is who? Ronnie Coleman. Listen, man, Ronnie Coleman, man, got what? Mr. Olympia 8 times. Black people is great at everything that they do, man. Greatest musicians, black people. Greatest jazz artists, black people. Greatest athletes, black people. Boxers, singers, dancers, black people, man. Everything we do, we're just so great at it. But we just don't see how great we are. Because obviously we're blinded by the lies that they tell us. We're blinded by the black on black crime that they want us to commit against one another. We're blinded against all those things. But we're great at everything, man. And the one thing that we all need to be great at is serving God, man.
That's right.
Just imagine if we served God, how great, how much greater we could be. Now, we're currently at the lowest we're going to be, and we're still better than everybody else at our lowest, man. At our lowest, during our oppression, while we're at the bottom, we're still greater than everybody. Just imagine how it's going to be when we're at the top, man. Just think about that for a second, but go ahead.
We're back in Deuteronomy 7.
Oh, yeah, you can go there, yeah.
But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers.
Listen, man, the Lord's going to keep the oath which he sworn to our fathers. Not everybody's fathers, our fathers. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is our fathers, man. The Lord made an oath with them, man. A promise. And guess what? The Lord's a man of his word. The Lord ain't like us that's half-hearted with our word, that would say one thing and do the opposite. The Lord keeps his words, man. And the Lord said what? Made a promise to Abraham. This is a covenant. This is the covenant. The Lord made a covenant with our forefathers. And whether you like it or not, you're tied into that covenant, man. You was in Abraham's loins when he made that covenant, man. You was inside Abraham when he made that covenant. Through Isaac and Jacob, man. The Lord made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then guess what? Now we're here. We have to uphold that covenant. And God ain't letting you out of that covenant, man. We have to uphold it. Is there anyone that is that about it?
Unto your fathers, and the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand.
And listen, man, because the Lord loved us so much, he delivered us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. The same way the Lord's going to deliver us out of all these places with a mighty hand. He's going to deliver us out the same way. And the Bible says what? Through these scriptures, we have hope. And reading these things should give black people hope that we're not going to be a slave forever. You see, all black people that hate their life. This is why you need to be in the U.P.K, man. Because we got that hope to give you, man. That your life ain't going to be like this forever.
That's right.
You ain't going to be a slave forever. You ain't going to be at the bottom of the face of the earth forever. We give you that hope, man. That hope is found in the Bible. We give you something to live for and change your life for. Just imagine you've been living for nothing. Come and live for this truth, man. Come and serve God, man. I mean, you see this place here is nothing but misery and tears, man. This place is nothing but misery and tears. So while you're trying to enjoy yourself in hell, enjoying yourself in captivity, why not serve God and enjoy yourself in the kingdom, man? With your brothers, where we all rule, where we all reign, man. Where we the number one superpower. Where we decide who gets rice to eat. Where we decide who gets rain. Where we decide who's allowed to do this and do that. Instead of the other way around. You see, like now, how you have to go, you see how we have to go to our oppressor for a passport and whatnot. Imagine when you run the kingdom, they have to come to you for these things, man. You see how they can deny you at the border. Listen, man, in our kingdom, you can do the same thing. You can be like, you ain't going nowhere. You ain't leaving. You ain't doing, what's it called? Give me from there, you can give me a Romans 9 and 30. Did the brother have a question?
Yeah.
What did I ask? Monday, I asked if you can give me the precept of Eve being Adam's family.
Yeah.
All right, no sweat. Do you know where there's one in Genesis when it says, and then get the one here. You know the one in, is it Kings? Yeah. All right, no sweat. I'm gonna get them for you. There's about three or four of them. All right, I'm gonna get that question for you. So the brother asked Monday. I asked if you can give me the precept of Eve being Adam's family. So there's one in Genesis when Adam marries Eve. He takes her to be his wife. And then we're going to get the one with David. So once you precept these two together, it will let you know that there was family.
Okay, so you want Genesis where Adam said, then Genesis.
Yeah, I think there's one with, is the one with Laban as well?
I've got that one. What's it, Genesis 3? No, Genesis
Nah,
2.
this would be 2 and somewhere. Before she messed up all of humanity. This will be 2 and something.
All right. So Genesis 2 and 23. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bone."
So Adam said what? This is now bone of my bone. Go ahead.
And flesh of my flesh.
And flesh of my flesh. Now the reason he said it 2 times, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, because what? He's saying, this is my bone, of my bone, meaning what? This is my family member who I'm starting a family member with. So that's why he said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Because we're all bone and flesh. But once you take a rib, she becomes bone of your bone and flesh of your flesh because she's your family, who you're starting a family member with. So that's why he says, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Now we're going to get the next one to show you that bone and flesh is family.
Genesis 29 and the 14.
So that's the first precept proving that those family, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Go ahead.
And Laban said unto him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh.
He said what?
Surely thou art my bone and my flesh.
So surely thou art my bone and my flesh, meaning the family, man. Go ahead. There's a is the one that, or there's a next one as well. There's a better one in Kings when David says, yeah, when he mentions, I think he mentions the Israelites, his family, something along the lines. So that one there, Laban said, your bone and my flesh. The same thing that Adam said to Eve, that you're bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Because she was a family member that he was starting a family with. And we even speak like that today. Like we'll say, yo, here's my flesh. That means here's my family member.
2 Samuel 5:1.
So yeah, 2 Samuel 5:1. This one here is the main one that you can go to. You can just precept this one straight with Genesis. Go ahead.
2 Samuel 5:1. Then came all the tribes of Israel.
Hold on, then came who?
All the tribes of Israel.
So it's letting you know who was there. All the tribes of Israel. Then came all the tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
To David unto Hebron.
So all the tribes of Israel came to David. Go ahead.
And spake and said, behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh.
Hold on, what did they say?
We are thy bone and thy flesh.
So why did they say? Why did they say where his bone, there his bone and there his flesh? Because there is family. That's what they were saying. That's what it said. The 12 tribes of Israel came and said, you are my bone and my flesh. Saying that when you go see your family members and you want money, you'd be like, yo, you're my flesh, man, and you can't even look after me. It's the same thing, man. The bone, there is bone and his flesh. Does that answer your question?
That part about the Adam in the deep sleep.
Adam in the deep sleep. Oh yeah, no, sir. All right, we'll go to that part as well. Basically, Christianity teaches you that what? God put Adam in a coma. Christianity teaches that God put Adam in a coma and took one of his ribs out his body and whatnot. That's a lie. But
and in the rest of the text,
you
named
her
woman.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that as well.
Right, Genesis 2.
It's on about the part when they said they made here woman. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. Yeah, no, sir.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam.
So now, when it says he caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, it don't literally mean he fell asleep. It's talking about like Adam was sleeping, he weren't aware of what he was doing. That's what it meant. Sometimes, like you see how the Lord put the Holy Spirit on Joseph to have sex with Mary. Same thing, man. Same thing. That's what that is. That's that same deep sleep. You know, when the Lord's working, the Lord was working. So if Adam wasn't aware of what he was doing, man, the Lord caused the deep sleep to fall upon Adam, meaning the Lord put the spirit on Adam. That's what it means. Go ahead.
Isaiah 29:10. For the Lord have poured upon you the spirit of deep sleep.
The Lord of what?
Poured upon you the spirit of deep sleep.
Now, does this mean that they went sleep for 24 hours? Does this mean they went sleep for 48 hours? Like, oh man, it don't mean that. So with the Bible, you use precepts to understand what it's talking about. Go ahead.
And have closed your eyes.
And have what?
Close your eyes.
Listen, man, the Lord put the spirit of deep sleep upon Adam, man. And Adam wasn't aware of what he was doing. Adam was just going with what the Lord wanted him to do. That's what it means when he says he put a deep sleep upon him. Go ahead. Now we're going to go back to Genesis and read the rest of it. Go ahead.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam.
So the same thing, man. The Lord caused the deep sleep to fall upon Adam.
And he slept. And he took one of his ribs.
And he took what?
One of his ribs.
Now, this don't mean that he opened him up and took a rib out of his midsection. A rib is what? Took a woman for Adam to marry. That's what it means. Took one of his ribs. And this is why we call a woman our rib. Go ahead.
And closed up the flesh.
And he took one of his ribs, meaning he took a woman and closed up the flesh, meaning what? The Lord just wanted Adam to have what? One wife. The Lord closed up the flesh, meaning, all right, this is going to be your rib. Boom, that's it. Gave him that. This is who you start a family with and closed it up. Go ahead. Now, does that mean you can't have multiple wives? No, it doesn't mean that. Because if you read on later in Genesis, those men with all like 2 wives, 36 wives, and so forth. Go ahead.
And clothed up the flesh instead thereof, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman.
And it says, and the rib that he had taken from man, made he a woman. Now, you says that it says it made her a woman. What does that mean? You're saying that means she was created there and then. No, it don't mean that. It's like saying, you know, when people say him right there, he's a made man. It's kind of like saying that when people say he's a man, he's a made man. Like you see, like a woman, yeah, like a man that comes to a woman's house and does the painting. She'll be like, he's a man. He is obviously he was a man before, but he's a man based off what she thinks is a man. Basically, what she became here was a woman, started keeping laws and so forth. Go ahead.
Too, even in the context, in the Hebrew, there's no word for wife. It's a woman.
Woman.
So you know what I mean? Basically, she is his wife.
Basically. And he had sex with her, and that's how she became his wife. Because what? There was no pastor there. So once Eve became Adam's, she started what? Stopped being in the world. Stopped doing whatever she was doing. Started to be what a woman's supposed to be. He made her a woman, man. Adam had to do what with that woman? Teach her, train her, but obviously it all went wrong in the next chapter. But go ahead, was there any more that he wanted?
And brought her unto the man.
And now, these two now, they had sex, and then after this, they had sex, and then she became his wife, and then Adam talks about, read on.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone. So she came, had sex, brought them to him. This is who you meant to marry, blah, 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 blah. Adam had sex with her. This is now bone of my bone. This is a family member. Go ahead.
And flesh of my flesh.
Flesh of my flesh. This is now my wife, who I'm starting a family with, so forth. Go ahead.
She shall be called woman.
Go ahead.
Because she was taken out of man.
Because she was taken out of man. It don't mean she was literally taken out of him. She was taken out from amongst the rest of the people and brought to Adam. Because there was plenty of people around at that time, but the Lord chose her to what? Be with Adam. Any more on that?
And verse 24 even makes it clear.
Go ahead.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
Therefore shall a what?
Shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
It says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, which lets you know what? Adam and Eve wasn't the first 2 people in the earth, man. Or how can Adam be talking about a father and a mother? What would Adam know? What would Adam know about a father and a mother if he was the only 2 people on the face of the earth? Right here, this is. That's. Let me know if you want anything more. Go ahead.
And that's how she taken out of marriage, because she left
exactly
the man over there, which was
exactly. She left them to come be with her man, and it says, therefore shall a man leave his father's, his mother's house and whatnot, while his wife shall leave and cleave unto it. They shall cleave and become one flesh. Meaning, once you become married, you become one. That's what it's talking about, man. Madman Yamia, let me know if that answers your question. He goes, what do you say? With 24 is where I get. Just let me know. Let me know if you understand it. Just let me know if you understand it, because there was that's what it is. So the Lord didn't do no because even now, what Christians were trying to say to you is that men have less ribs than women. That's a lie, man. Even scientifically, that's a lie. So you mean to tell me the Lord took one man's rib, and then every man on the face of the earth comes out with less ribs now? Listen, man, it's silly, man. That's what they teach. But yeah, Madman, yeah, just let me know if you get that. Yeah, I think he gets it. He said, yeah, because if he takes her from his rib, then it should be no mother or father. Exactly. So if he did take her from his rib, it would be no better than the face of the earth, just these two. Like honestly, Christianity makes you believe what? That Adam was walking around butt naked with sperm in his penis, just walking around butt naked around animals. Like people read these books and think that's how Adam was walking around butt naked, just with a penis full of sperm and around animals. Listen, that is Esau's idea of heaven, man. Like he's the one that likes to do all these things with these animals. That's his idea of heaven. A black man's idea of heaven is, there's got to be some women up in there first of all. And Adam was a black man, man. Of course, the Lord had to give him a rib, man. Adam's a black man, man. Adam weren't no Dwayne. Adam wasn't Dwayne Wade's son and all of those kind of people. But
Yeah, he understands.
you understand it, most in Christ. Give me Romans 9 and 13. And then after this, we're gonna get into some articles.
Romans 9 and 13, as it is written.
It says, as it is written. So what we're about to read, where is it written? It's written in the book of Malachi, man. Which lets you know the Old Testament ain't done away with. You know why? Because if Christ did do away with the Old Testament, this is the book of Romans, which is after Christ, man. Christ had already gone back to the Father at this stage, man. This is Paul's writings. So why is Paul quoting from the Old Testament? I mean, if the Old Testament is done away with, you need to show me when it got done away with, because this is Paul quoting the Old Testament as it is written. Now, if it was done away with, Paul wouldn't be quoting it, man. Now, Christians will say what? The Old Testament got done away with after Christ died on the cross. This is after Christ died on the cross, man. This is way after that, man. This is after that. This is Paul's writings. Paul, and if you know, Paul wrote most of his books from jail, his letters from jail, man. Like most Paul's letters, you have to read like verse 1. You have to read like Romans 1:1, Ephesians 1:1. You have to read that to understand who the letter's written to, who the letter's talking to. Because most people jump in Romans and read Romans 11 and say, see, the Gentiles can be saved because Paul, blah, 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 blah. When you need to understand the context of who the letter was written to. Now, when someone writes a letter, the letter is very specific. The letter is addressed to who the letter is written to. And all these letters is addressed to the Israelites, man. I mean, now when you get a brown letter through the post, which is addressed to you, when you get a letter in the post which is addressed to you, no one else in your house don't open it. Why? Because they know it's not addressed to them, man. Meaning what? Esau shouldn't be opening our letters, which is the book of Romans, man, which is the book of Ephesians and whatnot. But read on. Let's get to what it's saying.
Romans 9 and 13, as it is written, Jacob have I loved.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved. Now, if we just knew that God loved us, Paul has to tell him, man, as it is written. Paul's reminding him, it's written, Jacob have I loved. We need to hear this, man. God's telling us right here, he loves us, man. Jacob have I loved. Go ahead.
But Esau have I hated.
But what?
But Esau have I hated.
But Esau have I hated. God loves us and hates our oppressor, man. And our oppressor knows this. And this is why he tries to eradicate us and get rid of us, man. He wants us to what? He wants to wipe us all off the face of the earth, man. What was the question? Online.
Now, one more. Can you compare Matthew 28 and 19 in the Hebrew and the King James? You have to see if they are similar.
What does it mean? What do you mean? Compare them as in, like, what do you mean? Compare what exactly?
Well, there's a problem there. Well, the book of Matthew wasn't written in the Hebrew language.
Exactly, it was written in what?
In
Greek. Go to this. What scripture does it work? Let's see what it says.
That's what it about go teaching the nations. That's like the end of
Yeah, and it sounds like that. So it sounds like one of the last things. That's what it said. I think it's one of them. I'm sure it's one of them Gentile scriptures. Matthew. What is you? Go ye therefore and teach all nations. Yeah. Like what is your question on what do you want to know about Matthew 20 and 19? Um. Let me know what your question is on it. But for time's sake, I'm gonna go give me Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 4. Like what part don't you understand in Matthew 20 and 19? Just let me know if you need it broken down to you, and we'll get there.
Jeremiah 17 and 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave
It says, even thee that thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And our people, we've discontinued from our heritage, man. Meaning what? Meaning we forgot who we are, man. And this is why when you read about the Gentiles in the New Testament, it's talking about the Israelites in context, the right context. It's talking about the Israelites because what? We've discontinued from our heritage. That's what it's talking about, man. The Lord gave us a heritage and a culture. We've discontinued from it. We want to be a part of everybody else's culture. We want to go to the Muslim mosque. We want to be Christian. We want to be Muslim. We've discontinued from our heritage which the Lord gave us. Go ahead.
That I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
And now this is why we're serving our enemies, man. Because God said, you know what, you don't want to serve me? Go and serve them then. And the Lord's showing you how nice it is when you serve him and how horrible it is when you serve your enemies.
That's right.
Black people's been serving their enemies for so long and still being oppressed, man. You would have thought they would have loved you because you're doing everything that they ask of you. They still show you how much they hate you, man. Whereas why not serve God and God will respect you, man. And you'll get the good, you'll reap the benefits, man. You'll reap the benefits. Well, that's it. And did the brother come back with?
Yeah, no. I think it was baptizing the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah. That's just talking. That's just talking about the doctrine. That's the doctrine. Read it from the top. Hold on. It says they teach that what?
Because Christians use this verse to prove the Trinity.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Go ye therefore and teach all nations.
So now it says, go ye therefore and teach all nations. So now people believe that this all nations is the whole world. But once you understand the Bible and you go into there's them scriptures in Deuteronomy and Ezekiel and whatnot, and it will let you know that Israel was scattered into all nations. So that's what it says, teach all nations, all Israelites scattered in all these nations. That's all that means there. That's not talking about go teach a Chinese man. You go in China to teach a Chinese man. It ain't talking about that. You teach the Jews among the Gentiles. That's what it's talking about. So the all nations is what? Your Brazilians, your Mexicans, your Jamaicans, your Trinidadians, your Bajans. That's what it's talking about. Israelites in those nations, in all these nations, wherever we are, teach those people. Because at this time, all Israel wasn't in one place. Israel was everywhere at this time. If you read Acts, the 2nd chapter, it will let you know how Israel was scattered all over, man. That's the all nations, them Israelites, which is throughout everywhere, was scattered throughout Asia Minor and everywhere, man. Greece, Rome, all over, man. That's what it's talking about. Them all nations was Israelites. Go ahead.
Baptizing them.
And what's baptism today? Baptism ain't water. Baptism, you got the, yeah. But baptism isn't water, man. They teach you that what? Water baptism. Nah, man. Water baptism was more ceremonial. Water baptism doesn't mean anything, man. The chances is this: if you're a homosexual that dunks yourself in water, you just come out a wet homosexual, man. That don't change you. But what does change you? You taking heed to the word, man. You following the words of God, man. You following the words of Christ, man. And then you receive the Holy Spirit, man. Because you receive the Spirit of God because you're doing what God requires of you. That's what that's talking about. It says baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. And also the word ghost there is meant to be spirit. The word is meant to be spirit. But obviously the translators put the word ghost there. But when you look into the word says what ruach. So the word is spirit there. Because there's a few words in the Bible where that's not what the word meant. The word meant spirit originally. Yeah, go ahead.
John 15:3. John 15:3. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
It says, now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. That's how you clean, man. Usually what? You take a bath and get clean, but you clean by what? The word, which is what? Not eating pork, not eating shrimp, not eating lobster. That's how you clean, man. That's how you clean, by the word. That's what it means. You clean yourself up with this Bible. You not being some drug addict. That's how you do it. Go ahead.
Baptizing in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Meaning what? You need to follow this doctrine, man. You need to be in here, man. That's how you get it. Go ahead. You got something. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Eating.
No. Washing them.
Teaching.
No. Dunking them in water.
Teaching.
This is what it's talking about, man. Teaching. Go ahead.
Them to observe all the things.
It says teaching them to observe all things, man. Go ahead.
Whatsoever I have commanded.
And Christ said, this is what you do. You teach them all things whatsoever I have commanded you. Once Christ came on the scene, he taught them these scriptures thoroughly, man. He taught them these scriptures properly. He taught them what they must do, taught them everything. And that's what it says that. Go ahead.
I am with you always, even unto the end of the world.
And there you go. That's what that's talking about. Let me know if that answers your question.
I believe, again, in the Greek, name doesn't literally mean name, it means
doctrine, yeah.
So don't literally mean
exactly. It don't literally mean like you have to do whatever and say Jesus. No, it's not talking about that. Name just means doctrine. That's what it means. It don't mean what you would say your name is today. In context, give me that article if you could. The black boys brought down a peg.
From the Guardian.co.uk. So from the Guardian.com, BBC pundits taken off air after criticism of Derby's young black lads.
Criticism of Derby's young black lads, man. That's all our oppressors do is criticize black people, man. Listen, black man, you see your whole life, you've been criticized, man. Even playing a game of football, you criticized. Everything you do, you criticize, man. Go ahead.
Craig Ramage claimed players need for pulling down a peg or two.
They need pulling down a peg or two, man. Listen, really, he just hates black people, and all of them hate black people, and they just can't wait for you to mess up. Like, they can't wait for you to mess up. I mean, this is why they pay you so much in advance. Like, they give you like what? They give you all these millions because they know you're going to blow it, man. They know you're going to blow it. They give you all this money knowing you're going to blow all that money. And that's why they do it, man. You think a 2 million, 3 million endorsement to them is anything. They give black people this money knowing, black people, they ain't got no money monitoring. and they're gonna blow it all, and we can use them forever. And this is why all your celebrities end up dying bankrupt, man. Listen, do you know how much of these black celebrities file bankruptcy? It's because the oppressed that rules over you, man, has all these hidden charges and all these taxes and so forth, man. Go ahead.
The BBC said it will no longer use Craig Ahmed after he criticized Derby County's young black lads.
Listen, man, he criticized Derby's young black lads like they're the only ones that's on the team.
That's right.
Like, are they the only ones that's on the team? He criticized these young black lads. Why did he do that? Because what? Oppressors hate black people. It's that simple. They want to fault you at all costs. So they lose the game. Guess what? Why not just blame the black people? I mean, you see in the World Cup, when a black man misses a penalty and gets Darius Vassell, he had to go into hiding, man, when he missed the penalty. They called him a nigger and everything. But when David Beckham kicked that penalty all the way down the ball out the stadium, almost kicked the ball. Remember that when he kicked the damn ball almost out the stadium? Nobody gave David Beckham a hard time.
Right.
But black people can't do nothing. Can't do nothing wrong. And these players did nothing wrong, man. The thing is, you're not going to win every game. He's saying they need to be brought down a peg. What does that mean? It sounds like to me he's saying they need to be brought back down to slavery, man. It sounds like to me. He's saying, why did we let these niggas out of slavery? We need to bring them back there. That's what it sounds like. He's got them being a good slave, running around the football pitch, and still criticizes them. These black lads need to be brought down a peg. Black lads need to be brought down a peg. Listen, what about his own people? They need to be brought down a peg, man. Because when you look at it, the majority of the best footballers in England is black people anyway. You name one good white footballer, I don't think there's any. You probably got two at a push. And this goes way back to who Michael Owen and David Beckham and Alan Shearer. That's probably all they got, man. That's probably all they got. These black lads need to be brought down a peg. This man can't contain his racism. Even while he's on the air, his racism is oozing out of him, man. And then guess what they said? They're no longer going to have him broadcasting. Listen, he's going to... You see, once everyone forgets, he's going to be back in the job. Mark my words, he's going to be back in the job once everyone forgets. It always happens. They take him off the job for a bit because they know how quick black people forget these things. And then he's going to be back in the job, man. Go ahead.
Saying they needed bringing down a peg or two.
He said they need bring down a peg or two, man. Read on.
That's more. Yeah. After the damage, a former the RB and Watford midfielder said on the program, which has since been edited and re-uploaded online.
It's been what?
Edited.
It's been edited, man. Meaning what? It's been changed and re-uploaded online. Go ahead.
When I look at certain players, their body language, their stance, the way they act.
The way there's body language, their stance, the way they act. Go ahead.
You just feel, hold on a minute. He needs pulling down a egg or two.
Listen, man. You see him? He's acknowledging that he's your slave master, man. That's how your slave master used to treat you on them cotton fields, man.
That's right.
He would look at your body language. He would see you not doing as much work. He's saying, we can get more work out of you, but you're not giving us all this work. That was like your slave master, man. The same thing, man. Your slave master wanted you to pull you down a peg. You know why? Because he's in your body language that you're too relaxed and too laid back. Go ahead.
Now, and that's true, but it's also a confidence thing, meaning those black people on that team, they're making money, they're walking around looking cool, and in his mind, seeing them so confident, like, he needs to be brought down, he needs to think
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what I mean? That shows that as a black man in England, you're not meant to be confident.
Exactly. And you ain't in England as a black man, you ain't meant to be rich and trying to live how they live. They don't like that. They see you buying all these nice houses and these nice cars, talking about you need to be brought down a peg. What he's trying to say is, Black people shouldn't be higher class. You need to be brought down to a lower class, man. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me, which is bringing out his racism. The thing is this: the black players on that team play the best on that team, man.
That's right.
They make the team, and that's the only people who he talks about. He didn't talk about the other people on the pitch, just the black people, how they need to be brought down a peg, man. Why? Because they hate black people, man, and it's evident. I mean, every year these articles keep coming out. We've been bringing out these articles for years, and nothing ain't changed, man. All these years, and racism still exists. You thinking that racism is gonna go anywhere? Racism ain't going nowhere, man. Listen, racism is here to stay. Racism was here before you existed, and it's gonna be here after you pass, man.
That's right.
Your grandkids is gonna be going through racism if Christ don't come back, man. And then guess what's gonna happen? In our kingdom, there's gonna be racism also, man. We're gonna be racist, which means what? We love our own, man. We're gonna love our own people. We're gonna care about our own people. We're gonna clothe and feed our own people. Everybody else is gonna want help, and we're gonna say, nope, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to say, nope, if we got any spare, we might do, we might not. It's gonna be our core, man. Same like in this kingdom, nobody really helps you. They just give you a crumb. They just give you what? A little bit of job seekers allowance. So black people be like, oh, well, my manager, he's Caucasian and he gave me a job. Listen, man, him giving you a job is also racist. The reason he can give you a job is because he enslaved your people. The job that he's given you rightfully belonged to you in the first place. You see them loans from the bank that he gives you. That money was made off the back of your slavery, man. Really, that money belongs to you anyway. You see all these nice Bentleys and whatnot that all these Caucasians is driving. Really, they all got that car off what? Generational wealth, man. And what's generational wealth means it's been passed down from generations. What have black people had from generations? Nothing, man. You know why? Because when they abolished slavery, they paid the slave master like millions and billions to because he lost the slaves. It was like an insurance payout. And then what did the slaves get? Just their freedom. So when people be saying things like, oh, this man freed the slaves, is it Abraham Lincoln they say? When they say, oh, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, listen, man, you should have never been in slavery for him to free you in the first place, man.
That's right.
You should have never been on no cotton field for him to free you anyway. You thinking that he's done you a blessing when he ain't done you a blessing, man. You shouldn't have been a slave in the first place. Him freeing you from a position he put you in. Listen, man, that's not freedom, man. And then they got paid out, and then they kept all their plantations. Then they passed down all that generational wealth to their kids, which helped them set up businesses. And then once they set up all these businesses, guess what they do? That slave money that they got paid out, and then their businesses is making more money. They then employ you for minimum wage, man. Just to give you a slap in the face, they then employ you with the same money that they got paid out as insurance with minimum wage. They pay you like minimum wage, which is what, £8 something now. So the big man on the top, he's picking up all this money. Listen, some businesses make what, like £800,000 a day, man, and you're picking up £8 an hour, and you're grateful. You're praising this man for giving you a job, and you're picking up £8 something an hour, and he's picking up 800 grand for the day, and you're happy he gave you a job. The reason he can give you a job is because of that generational wealth, man.
Right.
Like anything that your oppressor does for you, just take it back a bit and look back and think, all right, then what put him in that position to give me this? Then look at that next thing you looked at, then look further back, and then you'll see that everything links back to you being a slave, man. Everything links back to you picking cotton. Everything links back to your ancestors being thrown off ships. Everything links back to your daughters being sold for bottles of wine, man. Everything links back to that. Everything links back to it, man. You're praising him. Oh, he gave me a job. That's the only reason why he can give you a job, man. Because he's got all that money that rightfully belonged to you. Same like in our kingdom, when we've got all the money, we can then give him a job once we've got all the money. But
that's more.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So this is what he says after the comment. So I'll probably say that about all the young black lads, all the young advice, if they wanted it, that it's about.
Sorry, it's like I read that again. On the top.
So I'll probably say that about all the young black lads, all the young advice if they wanted
He
it.
said, I'll probably say this about all the young black lads. Listen, man, understand this. Us black people don't need our oppressors' advice, man. Why don't you keep your advice? We don't need their advice, man, about giving us advice. No, we don't. We know exactly who you are, man. You're the last person we're taking advice from. Go ahead.
Um, Advice if they wanted it, that you know it's about when you are struggling for form, you are going through a dicky patch. It's about going back to basics,
Listen, man.
working hard, and doing the right things.
What he's saying is, now that these black people got money, they're not working hard. Because people do see it like that. People see it as once black people get money, they don't train no more. They start being in the club. Which in some cases, they do need to train harder. But he's making that like these white boys ain't sniffing cocaine when they're not playing football, man.
That's right.
He's making that like they ain't sniffing cocaine, buying prostitutes. They're doing all these things, man. Yeah, go ahead.
And what shocks me is that with them, it's not based on just black lads. There's white players on the pitch, and his message is directed to the black players, like
Exactly.
just be humble, go back to your basics,
And it
like the team only consists of black players.
exactly, which is racism, man. Like he's making that like only black people play on the team, only black people's underachieving. Only, I mean, he didn't even mention the other players, man.
That's right.
They didn't even get a mention. What he's basically saying is they lost that game because the black players is need to go back to basics. Now, what is basics? Basics is going back to the very beginning of your career when you had no money. Really, what he's saying is when he says they need to be brought down a peg, he's trying to link it with they need to be brought back down to basics, meaning cut their money and so forth. Basically, he wants black people to play football for free. Like he wants black people to do sports for free, man, without a decent wage. He didn't mention the white players on the team because black people's meant to do everything for free and not get no money, according to him. That's what he really wants. Go ahead. Is there anyone that?
On Sunday, the 22-year-old Derby defender Max Lau flagged up Ramage's comments, saying he decided to speak out on the behalf of all black footballers at Derby County.
And he spoke on behalf of all black footballers in Derby County when he flagged up them comments because them comments is racist, man. Now, if he thought that, he should have kept it to himself, man. Keep it to yourself and no one will know. We know, and this is why, just because someone ain't openly been racist, like in the lecture we brought out that everyone is racist in a way, man. There's different types of racism, and this man right here is using a type of racism. Go ahead.
Speaking of black football players, Lau added on Instagram, racial ignorance, stereotyping, and intolerance negatively affect the image of impressionable young footballers.
And listen, man. To be fair, what Rami said, most of them football managers think the same way, man. Most of them think the same way. Like they could care less, man. They all think the same way. They all think, you know what? These black people need to be brought down a notch. Everyone thinks it, man. Everyone that's not black thinks that, man. That black people need to be brought down a notch, whatever word they used. Go ahead.
I am disappointed.
He's what?
I am disappointed.
Honestly, man, listen. If he came to us, we would have told him beforehand that this man's racist. And then when it does come out, you won't be disappointed because you just know it's normal. You only be disappointed when you didn't expect something. Now, when you expect that, when you know that this man's already a racist, you won't be disappointed. And this is why when all these racist articles and things come out, we bring them out in class and we ain't disappointed. You know why? Because we know this is the nature of this beast, man.
That's right.
We know this is his nature to be racist, to oppress, to want to bring down, to want to knock black people's confidence, to want to make black people think that they're not good at football, to want to make black people think that they're not trying hard. How does he know these black players ain't put their all into the game, man? Imagine that you put your all into something and then someone has the cheek and the audacity to say, yeah, someone has the cheek and the audacity to say that you ain't trying hard enough. Listen, man, that right there is a slap in the face, man.
That's right.
That right there is a slap in the face. Go ahead.
I am also disappointed that a public service broadcaster did not step in to ask the analysis to explain his reasoning or to distance themselves from these arcade thoughts.
Listen, man, nobody stepped in, man. You know why? Secretly, they all agree with him, man. You know what I mean? When people say, what's understood doesn't need to be said. No. Well, yeah, well, you don't need to speak when something's understood. They understood what he was saying, man. Really? And also, there was a next one. Remember them racist comments when which one called that footballer a black bastard because he thought it wasn't live? Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Which one was that one now? Which footballer was it? And the black player forgave him and said that no, some of the other black footballers came to his defense. Remember?
No, to act about the black bastard about is someone who got raped allegedly by a black man, and he said that he walked around days looking for him, and he said black bastard.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that's one as well. There was a different one though where one of them was underperforming, and he goes, yeah, the black bastard. I can't remember who it was. You remember it?
Yeah, I remember that.
Who was it again now?
Now it was a coach, one people like Blackburn, one of the teams, and like the player, he called him a nigger from like his
Yeah, he probably did.
He's a nigger, and then when asked about it, it's like he just said, like, "It's nothing I say every day, just like in the heat of the moment." Like,
it's nothing I say every day. Listen, man, they say every day, and honestly, if you don't believe your work colleagues call you a nigger when they go home, of course they do. I mean, when they talk to their wife, they say, yeah, because I work with this nigger. And listen, once you understand this, you won't get disappointed because you understand that it's their nature, man. Just when you go home, you just speak the same with your wife, man. Say, I work with this damn Arab that wants to blow everything up. You can do that, man. The same way they stereotype you, do the same thing, man. Now, Chinese people are being stereotyped. They're being beaten up in the streets. You heard about it?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Chinese people being beaten up in the streets because everyone's saying they're bringing this coronavirus and nobody wants to catch it. But give me Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. He said black people need to get brought down a peg. Guess what? The Lord says our oppressor needs to get brought down a peg, man.
That's right.
I'm gonna show you that out of the Bible, man. He's saying these black boys need to be brought down a peg. Let's show you out of the Bible that God says that he needs to be brought down a peg.
Isaiah 14 and 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
Is it 12? 12?
Or 12.
Yeah, 14 and 12.
Like Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven?
Now, heaven is what? Heaven is either three things in the Bible: rule the kingdom of heaven, rulership, in the sky. That's what it is. Now, heaven here is what? Where our oppressor's living right now, man. He's in heaven, man. No way he's in heaven. Because he don't have to work no 9 to 5. He ain't getting shot by the cops. He ain't in hell. He's living good, man. He's got them Bentleys on the drive where the door opens up backwards. Listen, we don't even know how to even get inside them cars, man. He's got his nice little cars where you press a button and the door opens. He's in heaven, man. He says, how art thou fallen from heaven? Meaning what? This man fell from that high position that he's in. And the tables is getting ready to turn. Our oppressor is soon to fall from that heavy position that he's in, man. He's in heaven right now, but he's going to fall from that position, man. Go ahead.
Oh, Lucifer.
Lucifer means what? Lucifer just means what? Light bearer. Like meaning what? This is the man you come to for all the knowledge, man. Like you see how light is synonymous with knowledge. Right about now, everyone goes to Esau for all this knowledge, for all this wisdom. You go to his science. You go to his schools, you go to his university, you go to him for everything. So the Lord's saying to him, yo, how have you fallen from heaven, or Lucifer? Meaning what? You was the man with all the knowledge and the wisdom. You was the man that everyone thought was God. You was the man that everyone came to for understanding. How have you fell from heaven? Go ahead.
Oh, Lucifer, son of the morning.
The reason, why does it say son of the morning? The reason it says son of the morning is what? Because the sun comes out in the morning. The brightest light in the sky is the sun. And that's what it calls him, the son of the morning, man, meaning the brightest one. People look at this nation, our oppressor, as like what? They're the brightest nation, man. They're the wisest nation. They're the smartest nation. People look at them like that. Oh, son of the morning. Go ahead. That's what it says that.
Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground?
It says, how art thou cut down to the ground? Now, people look at heaven as in the sky and the ground as low. So heaven's high, the ground's low. This man was what? He was high up on the earth, man, living good, living up in the suburbs, living nice and comfortable, rich, everything, man. He was living good, man. And now it says he's brought down to the ground. Now he's what? You see them in town of Mamba now. You see them in town zoned of Mamba now. You see them smoking all these drugs. You see them as drug addicts itching. You see them homeless. You see them sleeping in sleeping bags in the freezing cold. They've been brought down low, man. They've been cut down to the ground. Go ahead.
Which it is weaken thee, the nations.
Which did what?
Which did weakest the nations.
They weakened the nations, man. How did they weaken the nations? By what? They put their military bases there. They put Caesar Borgia everywhere. They put their religion there, man. They weakened every single nation. Everywhere our oppressor goes, white Jesus pops up. Diseases pop up. Their military bases pop up. They rule over all these nations. They put their laws in place. You see countries that have been independent for many years. The British and the Americans do what? Go over there and try and put their laws there. Try and rule over them. Try and tell them, you're not going to run your country like this. You're going to run it like this. Talking about you need to free your people from this. Meanwhile, they've got black people enslaved and they still ain't freed their people, man. But they're telling these other nations, you can't treat your own people like this. But look how, listen, we're meant to be part of Great Britain, right? They ain't treating black people great here. They saying that the Arabs need to not kill the non-believers and whatnot. Meanwhile, they've got their police killing us right here on the street, man. I thought we was meant to be a part of their nation, which lets you know that really England, there's no place for a black man in England, man.
That's right.
They know that you don't fit in. We stick out like a sore thumb in this place. We ain't supposed to be here, man. Meaning, as in, when I say you're not supposed to be here, I'm on about you ain't supposed to put your spirit into this place, man. You ain't supposed to be trying to be a part of this place. You live here, but take your spirit out of this place, man. Don't be trying to be part of Great Britain's holidays and the Queen's speeches and whatnot. Because when the Queen makes these speeches, she ain't thinking about black people. Black people ain't on her mind when she makes that Christmas speech. It lets you know by how they got their World War memorials in two different places, man. They put yours in Brixton, which is about 6 foot tall, and then they got theirs in where is it? I can't remember. It is White something, whatever it's called, White Castle or something along them lines. They got their one there. The Queen goes and puts a wreath on theirs every year. They let off the guns. They have a moment of silence. Everybody claps. That's what they do. You see, at your one, nobody goes there, man. Your one is so small that nobody notices it, man. The only time people see your one is when they're trying to go to the KFC over the road, man. Where your one's opposite the road from a KFC, man. Listen, man. Yours is opposite the road from a KFC. No one cares about yours. No one gives a damn about yours. Yours don't mean nothing. So when the Queen's putting down that wreath, she ain't putting it down for you. So there's no point you joining the military. I mean, you're dying for a country that would never die for you, man. You're fighting for a country that would never fight for you. But guess what? If you serve the Lord will fight for you, man. And you will win every single battle. You will never lose, man, if the Lord's on your side. But you fighting for England, you are going to get blown up, man. You are going to step on a bomb on the grass. And guess what they're going to do? Just fly your body back to your family. Your family's going to be crying their eyes out. Oh, I lost my husband. My kids ain't got no dad. And guess what? Your supervisor of the army, he don't really care about you, man. Listen, you're just a pawn. You're just someone that he puts on the field, man. You know when you need to make up the numbers. You're just there to fight and make up the numbers. And they know that you got a few skills, so they use you, man. They put you on there, but they don't see you as part of them. Because up until a certain amount of years ago, a black man could only work in the trenches, man. In World War One, a black man could only work in the trenches. Go ahead.
Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. And
this man right here, he thinks he's God, man. He wants to get up to heaven, man. He wants to go out of the earth. He wants to go to the moon and leave his flag there, man. He wants to operate. He thinks he's God. Go ahead.
into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of
And
God.
listen, man, we meant to be them stars of God, man. This is twofold, man. We just them stars of God, the Israelites, man. He's what exalted his throne above us. He rules over us horribly, and also he thinks he's God, man, going up to space, trying to put space shuttles on the moon and all these things, cameras and all these things. He thinks he's God, man. He thinks he's better than God. Go ahead.
Above the stars, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
And listen, man, he sits on the sides of the congregation in the north, man. He listen. Most of the places where we was enslaved were in North America. Listen, man, most of us is enslaved in North America, man. South America, North America, like even what? Yeah, we've been enslaved all these places. Jamaica and the Caribbean's on the continent of what North America as well, man. We've been enslaved through all of them places, man. He's sitting on your ancestors too, man. All of ours, man. He sits on all of that. He rules over all of us. Listen, whether your slave master was Spanish or British or whatnot, they're all one in the same, just different languages, and you just go with whoever takes you at the time. Whatever they want you to do, that's what you have to do. They just rule over you horribly like that. Go ahead.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
Go ahead.
I will be like the Most High.
Listen, man, this man's been trying to be like God his whole life. Listen, God requires 10%. This man here wants 21% of your money, man. This man wants all of your money, man. He said, I will be like the Most High. He dishes out judgments like his God, man. He does worse crimes than you and tries to punish you, man, for doing the same thing that he does. This man thinks he's God. Go ahead.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell.
Listen, man, the Lord said he's bringing our oppressor down a peg, man. Same way that man said the black boys need to be brought down a peg. The Lord said he's bringing our oppressor down a peg, man. Go ahead.
Brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Meaning this man's going to be brought down low. He wants us to be brought down a peg. Don't worry, he's going to be brought down a peg, man. The Lord's going to bring him down a peg. Go ahead.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
So now, narrowly means to look at this man very suspicious, like, is that such and such? Meaning, at the top of the verse, it said, what? This man is the son of the morning, man. This man is Lucifer, the light bearer with all the knowledge and wisdom. This man's in heaven. Now, once this man's brought down, it says we're going to look at him narrowly. Go ahead.
And consider and say,
We're going to look at him like, this ain't that man that had all them Bentleys. This ain't that man that was rich, that used to do this, that ruled over us. This man that enslaved us. Go ahead.
Is this the man?
Is what?
Is this the man?
We're going to look and say, is this the man? Hold on. This ain't that same man that used to have on them three-piece suits looking smart ruling over us. Go ahead.
That made the earth to tremble.
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? How does he make it to tremble? Meaning everyone's afraid of him. This man makes the whole world tremble, man. It says in the Apocrypha that the earth was quiet before these men. When the Greeks ruled, the earth was quiet before them. Meaning what? Everyone was afraid and just done what this man told them to do. We're going to look at this man and say, is this the man? Go ahead.
That did shake kingdoms.
And how does he shake kingdoms? When he drops bombs on countries, man. He drops bombs on countries. This man flies jets through the skies and causes kingdoms to shake, man. Bombs children. Bombs anybody, man, that gets in his way. You think when he's dropping the bomb, he cares about casualties and civilians? Why do they call them casualties of war? Listen, man, it's our oppressor sees it as war. If you die in his war, you're just a casualty of war. I mean, I was trying to bomb him, but if you're there, you have to die with him. Listen, man, you don't want to be holding our oppressor's hand when the Lord comes back. You don't want to be a casualty of the Lord's war, man, by you joining our oppressors. This is why it's very important that we must separate from them. That anyone that quickly get me one article and then we'll finish on that. The Caroline Flack. So now we're gonna get an article. Caroline Flack. She was a host on Love Island. No, yeah, she was the host on Love Island. Basically, Love Island is a thing where You go to a villa, usually in Spain, but now they got the Winter Love Island, which is is it in South Africa? Where the Winter Love Island is in South Africa. Usually it's probably in Spain or somewhere, where they bring men and women in, and then you couple up. So you will couple up, and then what will happen is, you will couple up, and then what will happen is you'll try and find a couple, and then all of those things. So you're on there to find love. So you're on the island to find love. Now this lady was the presenter. We're just going to quickly go into her. Read it 1 second.
From the Telegraph.co.uk, Caroline Black inquest, Love Island presenter hanged herself.
She did what?
Hanged herself.
So listen, this is the nature of our oppressors, man. They hang themselves when they're going through hard times. Black people go through hard times every single day of our life, man. Black people get sacked from their job. Black people is barely living in the house, and we don't hang ourselves, man. We say, this is what we say. We say, oh, the Lord will find a way. That's what we say, man. We say the Lord will find a way, or we don't even let it stress us. Our oppressors hang themselves over something simple, man. Read on.
Hanged herself at home. The orator says
she hung herself at home, man. And you know why she hanged herself? Let me tell you why she hanged herself. She was 40 years old, and she hanged herself because what? She had a boyfriend that was 27 years old, and she assaulted him. Listen, and they was going to take her to court. She's not going to go jail for that, man. You're going to get a suspended sentence or a fine. She's not going to go jail for that, and she hanged herself for that. Meanwhile, O.J. Simpson was 60-something. Remember when he recently went jail? O.J. Simpson went jail for like 10 years, like a few years ago, like 10 years ago. And he was old, man. He didn't hang himself. Listen, Bill Cosby's an old man in jail, man. He ain't hanged himself. And these is bigger celebrities than her. She hanged herself over what? An assault charge, man. Listen, black men get 30 years in jail and black men stay optimistic. Is there anyone on the article?
No.
Yeah, give me a Genesis 25:23. Black men go jail and then they stay optimistic. Listen, a black man will get 30 years in jail, and guess what a black man says? A black man says things like, they can lock the locks, but they can't stop the clocks. That's what black men say, man. A black man says, I'll be home one day. Meanwhile, he's looking at 30 years in jail. What our oppressor does is 6 months in jail, they're ready to hang themselves, man. Can't pay their rent, hang themselves. Lose their job, hang themselves. Which lets you know how strong black people are, man.
Right.
To go through what we've gone through and still be standing. We ain't built like them, man. We're better than them. We go through so much and don't kill ourselves like they do, man. This woman killed herself over an assault charge. Meanwhile, black men is on murder charges, on armed robbery charges, on charges when they're going to be getting 30 years and ain't killing themselves. Which lets you know how spiritually stronger than these devils we are, man. They're weak, man. Read this for me.
Genesis 25:23. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb.
2 nations are in thy womb. The Israelites and the Edomites. That's the 2 nations. The children of Esau and the children of Jacob. Go ahead.
And 2 manner of people.
And 2 manner of people. These people got 2 different mannerisms and they behave in 2 different ways and they like different things. Go ahead.
Shall be separated from thy bowels.
So it was both in the wombs and it was separated from thy bowels once they came out. Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other.
And the what?
People, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
And listen, man, this lets you know that the stronger people is us. Because black people go through so much. We've been slaves for over 400 years and we ain't killed ourselves yet, man. We've been told that being black is disgusting and this and that. And us black people ain't killed ourselves yet, man. We're out here living, man. Listen, black people go through so many things and the stress barely shows, man. Black people, the stress barely shows. With our oppressors, what do? They turn to hard drugs, man. They turn to smoking mamba. They then turn to taking their biggest drugs in the face of the earth. And then they hang themselves over assault charges, man. Meanwhile, to get rid of black people, they have to kill us, man. Us black people, we ain't gonna kill ourselves, man. We ain't built like that because the Bible says what?
And the one people shall be stronger than the other.
And the other people is so weak, man. We are a lot stronger than them. Let me get one more precept before we go. Give me a. I'll go ahead.
Even with a divorce in the white world, when they have a divorce, they're told go on holiday, get your mind off it. Black people lose women and get on with it,
exactly.
Go to work the next day.
Exactly. Black people just work. It is what it is. Like black people, like we shrug everything off. Like, is what it is. Like black people, like we're going through the most, but we show the least stress, man. It seems like we've just learned to cope with stress. And you know what it is? The Lord's made us stronger than these other people, man. Which means we can stand everything which they can't. Let me get one more. Give me Hebrews 12 and 16 real quick.
The book of Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane.
And our oppressors is profane, man. How are you going to kill yourself because you got an assault charge, man? How are you going to hang yourself because you got an assault charge? Listen, man. O.J. Simpson was on a murder charge, man. And this man, listen, this man was driving away from the police on the phone. And you see, he's driving away from the police on the phone and say, let me go to my house first. And if this was an oppressor, they went in their house and hanged themselves, man. And really, you know, the police wanted to shoot him, man. Really, you know, they wanted to shoot him, man. Black people are just so strong. Go ahead.
The fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
Listen, man. They sold their birthright, the greatest thing that they could have ever had. They sold it for one morsel of meat. For one morsel of meat, man. They sold their birthright for one morsel of meat. So when they commit suicide over an assault charge, it doesn't surprise me, man. Like, listen, they gave up the best thing that they could have had for one morsel of meat, which lets you know, don't be surprised when more of them hang themselves over something so simple. The only thing is, we ain't meant to follow them. You know why? Because they're weak and we are a lot stronger than them, man. And with that brings us to the end of the class. We're going to do the announcements and the Lord's Prayer. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. B18 5PW 394 Lodge Road.
All right, that was a powerful class. The officers done with our hand. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanna, ruled for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After these 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10 means 10th in the Hebrew Ma'ashra. 10% of any increase you receive from the Lord. Priest one, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations is Purim on March 8th.
7th and 8th.
Or March the
7th and 8th.
The 7th.
Well, hold on one second. Let me check it. It's the Friday, Saturday. I'm sure it's the 7th and 8th. Give me 1 second. Let me find my calendar. Where's the calendar on this phone now? 1 second. Yeah, 7th and 8th.
It's
Saturday, Sunday, 7th and 8th.
And 8th
Yeah, 7th and 8th.
of March. All Akim and Aqua, check the bulletin board in the hallway and to check all I.S.U.P.K social media, so Facebooks, Instagrams, YouTubes, everything. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarves, and with that I remind you, and we're going to rise and face the east, and the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Badash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malachwaka, Taba'ah, Ratizaika, Hayah, Aisha, Barakza, Kawo, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathulanawa, Lakam, Cow, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawafinawa, Wala'a, Tabayahayanawa, Banasayawan, Habor, Hawashinawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahathapara, La'aiwalamya, Aman.
In the English, our Father,
art in heaven,
which
art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
Thy
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth,
as
it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not. Into temptation. But deliver us. From evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever.
So with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Atah,
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Barak Atah.
Yad Yamatak, class dismissed.
Oh, listen, let's go. When is it?
March 28th.
Is it Leon Edwards?
Yeah, Leon Edwards versus Tyrone.
Oh, that's going to be a